Imagine a place where the local transit authority publicly apologizes if your train is delayed by just 5 seconds. A society where dropping your wallet on a crowded street usually means you'll find it waiting for you at the nearest police station, entirely untouched. This level of extreme social order scales across an entire nation. It sustains a $5 trillion economy and keeps massive urban centers functioning smoothly, including the 37 million people living side by side in Tokyo. But look past the spotless streets, and you'll spot a severe structural crisis. Japan's birth rate has dropped so low, and its population is aging so rapidly that they physically do not have enough young people to run the country. They are actively replacing human labor with robotics just to keep basic services online. This sci-fi utopia is actually a highly engineered survival response to an existential demographic threat. Because of this massive labor void, Japan is currently opening its doors. They are heavily recruiting young foreign workers, offering career opportunities and visas to fill the gaps left by a shrinking domestic workforce. At the exact same time, the country remains one of the most highly sought-after premium bucket list tourist destinations on the planet. This creates a unique decision point. We need to evaluate the hard trade-offs of the Japanese system so you can decide where to invest. Should you spend short-term capital on a tourist trip or risk long-term life equity by relocating as an expat? To make the right call, we have to ignore the neon marketing campaigns and examine the actual systemic blueprint of Japanese society. The foundation of this country is incredibly harsh. Japan consists of over 6,800 islands sitting directly on the Pacific Ring of Fire. They are subject to constant, violent earthquakes, and only 12% of their land is flat enough to farm. In 1945, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki leveled entire cities to dust. The population was forced into a total societal reset, starting from absolute zero. What followed is known as the Japanese economic miracle. Through intense discipline and a pivot toward extreme manufacturing precision, companies like Toyota, Honda, and Sony rapidly rebuilt the nation into a global superpower. The ultimate manifestation of this post-war engineering is the incredible Shinkansen network. These bullet trains blast across a mountainous terrain at over 300 kilometers per hour, connecting the islands with near-flawless precision. Here is your first major trade-off. For a tourist, this history translates into a frictionless, perfectly safe travel utopia. You pay for a ticket, and everything simply works. For an expat living in the system, the reality is entirely different. Maintaining this level of order requires adhering to a rigid culture of social conformity. Deviating from the norm, disrupting the group dynamic, or failing to meet strict expectations is heavily penalized both socially and professionally. Perfect public infrastructure doesn't grow naturally. It is a service, and the currency used to pay for it is extreme behavioral compliance from its citizens. Japan uses a massive deployment of robotics and AI, from hotels to elder care, specifically to mask an acute lack of young labor. As a visitor, you reap the absolute best of this. You get to step into a fascinating, futuristic cyberpunk environment. You can watch thousands of people navigate the organized chaos of Shibuya Crossing at night, completely stress-free. But foreign workers moving to Japan are stepping into an economy carrying a massive burden. They enter highly conservative corporate structures to pay the steep taxes required to fund the systemic care of a massive elderly population. This level of technological integration serves as critical life support for a shrinking society. Even if you choose to just visit, prioritizing iconic sites without factoring in Japan's harsh geographic and climate data is a quick way to ruin your travel ROI. Take Mount Fuji. Global marketing will have you believe this perfect, snow-capped peak is a guaranteed, ever-present backdrop waiting for your camera. This chart tracks the actual statistical probability of seeing the mountain throughout the year. The reality is that Fuji is heavily obscured by clouds for the vast majority of the calendar. You only get about 120 clear days, and your chance of seeing it only spikes to 80% if you brave the dead of winter in January. Contrast that unpredictable geography with Japan's highly curated natural experiences. Places like Nara Park offer a guaranteed return on your time, where the local deer wander peacefully among the tourists, completely tamed. Whether you are buying high-end imported meals or trying to photograph mountain peaks, conquering Japan's hostile environment requires building your itinerary around hard data, not postcards. Japan is an incredibly successful survival mechanism. They use supreme human discipline and engineering to combat extreme geographic threats and a collapsing demographic pipeline. For tourist optimization, book a short-term trip. You extract benefits like perfect transit and zero crime without paying the long-term societal tax. If relocating as an expat, adjust your expectations. You must prioritize extreme stability and absolute conformity over personal flexibility and rapid career growth. Japan offers a genuine version of societal perfection, but it strictly demands your absolute conformity in return. Weigh the costs, pick your path, and invest your time accordingly.